Hi, we knew that failure is a way to success, and in this video we will talk about success stories after a long failure, which some may be ignorant of or others do not know about, and so we will present it today to be a good incentive as there are on the ground many success stories after a long failure, which may yet enlighten the horizon among the people and became referred to as the stars. Therefore, we will present with you some famous examples that appeared in a success story after an academic failure, to be short success stories, and perhaps you may reach a success story after a catastrophic failure, but it is certain that there are more success stories of businessmen after a failure that appeared on the scene and shine, whether it is included in the list of academic success stories or with success and struggle stories, but it has certainly become inspiring success stories for us in the current period. But before we start, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel until all new arrives. 1. The Thomas Edison success story. This is one of the success stories after a long failure. Its hero, the great scientist Thomas Edison, who, as everyone knows, presented the world with a set of important inventions, such as the light bulb, cinematograph, telegraph, and Thomas Edison also owns more than 2,000 patents. With all these important inventions, but what not everyone knows is that Edison failed in more than 20,000 experiments, but he did not give in to failure, and failure was the beginning of success. It is also noticeable and striking that Edison had a strong and steely will, as he did not know the impossible, and the witness to that when his teacher told him when he was young that he was a stupid child, and did not learn anything, and the matter arrived that he expelled him from his laboratory. Despite this, Thomas' love for the practical side of science did not give up and continued his work until he became one of the most famous scientists of the century. Edison was suffering from poor hearing until it affected that he did not complete his education, but his mother was the one who stood next to him and taught him to read and write at home. On the contrary, his father was very cruel in his treatment to the point of beating and insulting, as he was not a believer in him or his ambition. Thomas began building and equipping a small factory at home, and began his journey of success, but after many unsuccessful attempts, he did not give up and became an example, and his story is a story of will and success, among the success stories after a long failure. 2. Walt Disney's success story. One of the most important success stories after repeated failures is the story of Walt Disney, the owner of the Walt Disney Empire, of the most famous cartoon characters. Walt Disney, who was exposed to many unsuccessful attempts, went bankrupt more than once, and was fired from his job where he was working as a journalist, and you can imagine that the reason for his dismissal from his job as a journalist is that he does not have innovative ideas, and that he is of little imagination. Walt Disney failed more than once to establish some of his own businesses, and was subjected to many bankruptcies. Walt Disney presented his projects and ideas from the famous cartoon films, which were all his innovations, to many studios and investors more than 1,000 times, and all the shows were in vain, and none of his ideas were accepted. But Walt Disney did not give up and continued striving and ambitious until his projects were accepted and achieved what he wished and obtained the tremendous success he deserved, and deservedly. Walt Disney established his famous empire for the most famous cartoon characters in the world, and he became one of the famous personalities around the world, as he won 22 academic and international awards. Walt Disney's story became one of the most famous success stories after a long failure, or rather, a story of perseverance and determination after success after repeated failures. 3. The Albert Einstein success story. There is no one in the world who does not know or have heard the name of Albert Einstein, that great and famous scientist among the names of scientists and geniuses around the world, and his story is one of the most famous success stories after a long failure. The story of Albert Einstein is one of the strangest things you can hear about, or one of the most famous stories of human success and struggle. Since his early childhood, Einstein suffered as he could not speak or pronounce until the age of 4, and, unlike all children, not only speaking, but Einstein was suffering from autism. Also, it is interesting that Einstein failed more than once in the subjects of physics and mathematics, and his teachers told him that he was not suitable for studying either mathematics or physics. With all this and all these failures, pain and disease, teachers' opinion and repeated failure, Einstein became one of the most famous scientists around the world and one of the most important inventors in the modern era. Scientist Albert Einstein invented the atomic bomb, which is one of the 1,000 relativity theory that is taught in world universities. Albert Einstein was ranked among the most important 100 men in the history of all mankind throughout the ages, and he also won the Nobel Peace Prize in Physics in 1921, and it was one of the most famous success stories and struggle around the world. 4. The Oprah Winfrey success story. One of the most successful struggle stories and an example of a successful woman is Oprah Winfrey, whose story is considered one of the most famous and amongst short inspiring success stories. Oprah's childhood was enough to make her a devastated and desperate girl or to remain suffering from mental illness throughout her life, as she was a child subjected to sexual harassment by her uncle, and then an incident of rape at the hands of her cousin. Her unfortunate personal life and her failure were enough to make her give up her ambition or dreams. Oprah was fired from her job as a reporter for American television, and you might be surprised that the reason for her dismissal was that she did not have talent as she was told as a reason for her excuse. Oprah did not give up and continued her ambition and increased her determination to become one of the media giants in the world, enjoying great audience and popularity around the world as well. Oprah has become one of the most popular talk show hosts around the world and the owner of the most popular show in the world for 20 consecutive years. Oprah has won many awards and titles, and has been called the most inspiring woman in the world. As for her story, it became part of short success stories that are truly inspiring around the world and an example of challenge and persistence, especially for women. Now that we know success stories after a long failure, I hope that they have become an incentive for everyone to be able to succeed and invest in the future in a distinctive way. In the end, we hope that you liked the video, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel until everything new arrives, and bye bye.